Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel, I'm for Classic and welcome to BenchART. So for today what we have in here is Watch Dogs Legion, a game developed by Ubisoft Toronto, and Ubisoft Kyiv was responsible for porting this version to the PC. Ubisoft Kyiv seems to be a new studio that merges the previous Ubisoft Kiev and now Ubisoft Ukraine. So it means that there was two different teams that was merging together to work at least on Watch Dogs Legion to provide a better experience. So today we are here playing this with an HD 7850, which is equivalent to the R7 268 or the R7 370. The HD 7850, it is pretty much an 8-year-old graphic card, so it's pretty old stuff at the moment. It was my ancient go-to graphic card that I did use to play, and after 8 years old, I was very curious how Watch Dogs Legion would be running, because Watch Dogs Legion, it is super demanding, and, well, that would be interesting. Alright, so these guys wanna fight, but I'm just going to show you the settings. So for the settings, I'm using, as you can see, the HD 7800, 1080p, alright, but on the quality side, I'm using the absolutely minimum settings, mostly because of VRAM constraints, and I'm using 25% of resolution scaling, which is equal to play at 960 per 540, and then temporal upscaled to 1080p. I'm using TAA because you need to use TAA to use this feature, which provides an excellent boost in performance. So looking to the requirements, the bad news starts already in here. So for 1080p low settings, these guys do ask for an AMD Radeon R9 290X, which are a graphic card. It is obviously much lower than this. Also a minimum of 4 GB where we just have 2 GB. Despite, yes, the game says that it is enough, alright, for the settings that I'm using. The fact is, I think that sometimes the VRAM might be a little bit overboard and cause performance issues. So with these settings, unfortunately the performance was also not perfect. So I got an average of 30 frames per second with a 1% low of 20 frames per second, which means that you can expect the game to drop under 30 frames per second, sometimes very violently to 20 frames per second, and the maximum of 43. So don't get me wrong, consoles, the base consoles, I mean the PS4 and the Xbox One, are also suffering a lot in performance. Possibly not as much as we are suffering, but consoles at least do enjoy a little bit better visuals with screen space reflections and higher distances than we have in here, and especially better textures. But in here, on this PC version that I'm using in here, with an HD 7850, I have every stuff on the absolute minimum, so which means that there is no screen space reflections going on. So what is happening is I'm having a worse experience than the consoles, despite, again, the base consoles are performing very bad on this game though, but also we are too, alright, we are performing very bad and with worse graphics than consoles. But still, and again, this is an 8-year-old graphic card, it is amazing how far it got, and if you want to play Watch Dogs Legion, you can still do it, as you can see. Yes, there are some frame rate dips under 30 frames per second, especially when you are roaming through the map with a fast car. Alright, and in some areas, some more dense areas, you can notice those drops in performance. But apart from that, you can expect a 25 to 30 frames per second, especially if you are just walking or performing missions in closed environments without being on the open world, or just walking through the streets. You can expect frame rates at around 30 frames per second. So the experience, it is not great, but it is not great, not even close to that, but still, it is not really unplayable, alright? So, now that I've talked about the performance, let's talk now a little bit about the game. Watch Dogs Legion, brings two new stuff to the table. First of all, it is London. London, it isn't really a city that have been used in games. Most of the games are set place on Los Angeles, New York, Chicago. Yeah, we don't have too much games outside from USA mostly. Yes, there was Sleeping Dogs, which was on Hong Kong. But I mean, on London, last time I remember a game from London, it was Forza Horizon, which is an open world racing game. and The Getaway, which was a very, very old title from the PS2 era. But yeah, I'm actually surprised to see that they have gone with London, and it is fine to see something new, but unfortunately the city doesn't really show us too much stuff, or it isn't really pretty at all for us to enjoy the landmarks of it. Yeah, it's not a very interesting city, at least on this game, unfortunately. The new stuff also that I forgot to mention now, it is the Legion system. And the Legion system, or should I call it Nemesis system from Shadow of War and Shadow of Mortar? Meh. Legion system, it is what really makes the game what it is. It means that we are recruiting people to DedSec. I mean, I was missing the name. We are recruiting people to DedSec, and you can recruit any single person from outside world. I mean, any pedestrian on the street can be recruited as a DedSec operator, and that's really interesting because each one on the city have its own advantages and disadvantages, and it is so complex that if they have their own routines and their own habits, and for example, if you help a sister of one of those characters on the streets, and he might not be a believer of that sect. This was according to ACG. ACG is an excellent reviewer. He said that if that character have a sister in the world and you help the sister with something, it actually convinces his brother to join that sect, even if it is a non-believer of that sect. And since the sister it is a believer, since that sect helped the sister, he is a little bit more convinced that DedSec it is a way to go, and you might be able to recruit him to DedSec. So there is a lot of intersections, if I can say that, if this is the world. I mean, there is a lot of stuff that joins the personalities of the pedestrians together, which makes this game so unique. I think this is actually the main thing about the game, because for the rest of the game, what you can expect, it is the typical Watch Dogs 2 gameplay. And unfortunately, this game doesn't offer anything new. I mean, all the gameplay and all the stuff related to that, related to gameplay, will be pretty much more of the same. It will be Watch Dogs 2 all over again, but this time set in London and in a much more futuristic environment and with this Legion system. So overall, it is just that. Alright, so guys, I think that's all that I want to talk about Watch Dogs Legion. Hope you did enjoy the video. Hope you keep... So again, thank you a lot for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye. Keep enjoying the rest of it.
Auto drive is not available.
Ugh. Jesus fucking Christ! Ah! Ah! Don't fucking touch me again!
Suspect reported in your area, potentially armed and hostile. Investigating, stand by. We are inbound, stand by.